There we go. The Commanders' offense is now redone, retooled, and readjusted to take snaps under center behind David Blough, a supposedly healthy Jayden Daniels, some new weapons, if you will, some brought back offensive linemen. So I am here for it. I got two of the best analysis in Commanders country, so I figured it was time we get into the offense for this. It's BIB, it's Draft HQs, wherever you want to call it, but it's a deep dive into this offense. I say let's run it. Grant, Asia, welcome back to BIB.
Hey.
What's going on? Appreciate you.
No, thanks for having us.
On. Always. Come on now. We know what time it is. We got the first lady of the Commanders content creation. We got my man, Mr. Analysis himself. It is always a good time with you all around. It is always a good time.
You can't call me Mr. Now. She has analysis in her name.
That is true. See, it's a whole thing. I had a whole thing drummed up, and then we were talking backstage, and it was all ruined for me. I ruined it.
But no, I watched Grant's breakdowns. You're definitely Mr. Analysis. I'm going to, once I learn how to actually, I'm good with concepts. When I get that film study down,
it's over for all of us.
Yeah, it's gonna be over.
I'm gonna have to gatekeep something. I don't know. I gotta hold on to something for myself.
Once I figure that out, I can watch it. But the way you break it down with the arrows, and I'm like, God, I be locked in. I'm not gonna lie.
Facts.
Yes.
Hey. Well, it's funny. I mean, I mentioned it in my video today where I was breaking some film down for those who haven't seen it, but I had to reach out to somebody because I said, dude, what am I looking at? I don't know what's happening on this. I can tell you the little things that are happening, but together, what even is this? And he broke it down for me, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. So it's good to learn on the fly, but some of it still, it just goes over my head when it gets to a certain level.
Yeah.
It's why coaches supposed to get paid the big bucks, and then us we go from there. We're like, all right, let's make sure we know what we're actually talking about.
We get paid super chats.
Yeah,
we do get paid super chats. Hey, whether you're watching BIB full Commander Ages analysis, if you're watching any of our channels, super chats are open, have been open since all of us have hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you're financially wealthy and giving, financially conscious, financially empathetic enough to give us some of your cold hard cash outside of the fact that it's 95 degrees here on the East Coast, so none of us can afford AC right now, we appreciate a couple dollars because it is hot on this East Coast.
I got ambitious today. I was like, I'm gonna do things. I'm gonna lay some mulch. I was outside in the heat, and I was like, this is a bad idea. I think I'll come back out here when the sun goes down a little bit. I just was like, no, it is hot. It is hot.
The sun turned into prime. Pastor Tanny said, I'm putting an end to this right now.
Yeah, yes. I was like, I think I'll do this tomorrow or later on in the evening.
Next week. They just weren't supposed to be hotter and hotter.
Yeah, how about October? Let's just put a pause on that. It's going to be the lawn's on the ground. Where the lawn's going to be there in the fall.
It will. Yeah. I'm totally with you. I underestimated how that sun was beaming today.
It's the worst. It's the worst. The moment that the street lights turn on at 8:30 o'clock, then you do your mulch.
Yeah, sure I'm doing everything. I'm gonna take my evening walk. I'm gonna go out and do some yard. I'm doing everything.
This is random. We're supposed to be talking football, but since we're on a little bit of a tangent here, those balance boards at the gym that vibrate side to side, and you stand on them, you just go. My girl, she is the master of buying random things on Amazon she has never spoken about before. We have a balance board, and it showed up 2 days ago. And I'm not going to lie, you brought up evening walks, and it made me think. I've been finishing dinner, and I've just been standing on the balance board for 10 minutes going while I'm watching TV. And I get off, and I feel like I've already digested everything after 10 minutes.
Oh, man. No, I've seen those online.
Outrageous. I've seen those. I've seen those. When you've never used it, you don't know how to feel about it. You're like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah, what I do, that's something.
It's strained. You get off, and it's like your legs don't work because they've just been. It's like your teeth chattering, but your body's doing it. So when you step off, it's like, okay, well, I can't walk normally now. Nothing's working.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You start hitting the stanky leg on accident. Like, what am I doing already? It's like my knee.
Ooh,
You turn into D-Rose. You're like, my knee.
All right, chill.
That's right. I invoked Derrick Rose. That's my bad. That's my bad, guys. Let's not hear about the meal.
What's the aftermath? Okay.
Listen, I didn't tell you about what happened after that. I just said I felt better.
Hey, it'd be like that sometimes.
He said that's enough banter for. He said this is going left quick.
This is the usual shenanigans you see on the Burgundy Breakdown.
Now, this is a good time for me to announce I'm launching a health and wellness channel. Make sure you subscribe us. We'll stick to football.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I think people will tune in. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. People will tune in eventually. Grab a couple videos in there, and then we get to the races. But back on topic for one set in like 6 minutes, which is okay with me. I'm always good for some good banter. This offense, we'll start with before I bring up any graphics. Overhauled weapons, overhauled the coaching staff, new wide receiver coaches, new quarterbacks coach, assistants, offensive analysts to EOC on the inside. We've all kind of talked about it during the offseason, but I feel something about me feels better before this season than I have before we got a Cliff. Like, I don't know why I feel a little bit easier, like settling in of like, we got David Blough will be okay versus Cliff and Jayden. Arizona or Texas Tech? I don't know how to feel about this. Yeah. What do y'all think?
Do you want me to go first, Grant? They always let the ladies.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I've been all over my platform, kind of kicking Cliff's back in here. So I think people know how I feel about Cliff.
An understatement. He's back there, like you say, Cliff King.
So
getting ready to beat someone's ass.
Yeah, I just am so happy to be moving on from the Cliff Kingsbury era. I just going through 2024, I think I was about mid-year. You remember where it got kind of stale and we were going through like a little 3-game losing streak. And I think most of the fan base was like, Cliff needs to open that playbook up. It was, so I think that's when for me, it was just like, I noticed Jayden was doing a lot, right? And I think it was the mic'd up for that Atlanta game where you saw how actually physically and mentally exhausted he was and how, dang, why am I drawing a blank? Marcus had to really get in his ear and talk him through that last play. And I just was like, wow, like everything looks so hard. Like nothing looks easy, and then, so coming to 2025, and because I do watch Caleb and I do watch Drake May, and it's just like, I watched Drake May go from 2024 and Caleb and how hard things look for them, their rookie season. And then they came in last year with the new coordinator bump and just things. They had the weapons, they had the answers, they had all of those things. And then we ran that back. And I just was like, it still looks really, really hard. But now compound that with the wide receiver 1 being injured and the wide receiver 2 in Noah Brown being injured. And then it's just real gadgety. And it just was like, what is this? It did not look like a pro style offense, right? And I was actually in the building as a season ticket holder. I got to see it live. And when you are in there live, there's something about watching on TV versus watching the game live. You can see that it looks very kind of like Cliff just like trying things to see what works, right? Like it did not look like it was like any type of sequencing. It did not look like things were married. I was just like, oh, this looks like it just does not seem like a real offense. So I feel like anything that's not that is automatically better. So I'm automatically feeling much better. But when you see some of the pieces and the acquisitions and Chig, when you see the pick in Antonio Williams for the slot, when you see or hear that Ben Sinnott is catching passes and OTAs, you kind of know conceptually, okay, this is starting to look like what we see in Ben Johnson. Is starting to look like kind of Sean McVay with the tight end action and things like that. So stuff like that has me really excited for what we're going to do this year with the offense.
Yeah. To build off of that, so having a first-year rookie quarterback, because Jayden's best year obviously is 24 for various reasons, but having a first-year rookie quarterback, nothing is ever a guarantee. So any questions about Cliff Kingsbury, it was also, well, I mean, what's this quarterback going to be? Don't know till you see him in the NFL. We know we ended up learning Jayden was a stud. It didn't take very long. Week 3, I mean, 90% completion percentage, whatever it was. The throws to Terry, including the one that wasn't a touchdown, and then the game winner, like that dude was different at that point, from that point on. So we knew Jayden was firmly that guy. So build off of that, like David Blough is going to have growing pains because he's a first-time play caller. He really only just started coaching. I mean, the guy, I know that he took over as the primary quarterback coach only because Tavita Pritchard left. He's basically making the jump from assistant position coach to offensive coordinator at 30 years old. So as far as sequencing and things like that, the first month of the season is probably not going to be the best because why would it be? But I'm assuming he's going to develop just like any normal player would. And by the end of the season, I am confident, I would agree with Asia, the offense should be in a much better place for a variety of reasons. Number one, Jayden Daniels, like that was not a fluke what he did in 24. That was skill. It was very obvious. So he can do that and he should be better for it. The players around him are better. I'm looking at the 2024 depth chart. You can't see it, but I'm looking at it right now. And I have the 26 depth chart pulled up to it, right next to it. I can go through it super quickly. So wide receiver, like Terry versus Terry. All right, that's the same. Antonio Williams versus Olamide Zaccheaus. All due respect to OZ, I would rather have Antonio Williams. Wide receiver 3 between Jahan Dotson, who was there in week 1, versus Luke, or let's just say Brandon Aiyuk. I know that's going to trigger some people. Like, I like where we're at with that. Zach Ertz is a legend. He's had a much better career than Chig Okonkwo, but I would feel better about Chig this year than I did about Zach Ertz in 24. The running back room has been upgraded. The offensive line has been upgraded. And like I said, I think Jayden will be better individually than he was. At least he should be than he was in 24. So as long as David Blough is literally not an idiot, the offense should be better. And I don't think he is. Everything he has said has shown me that he intends to build this offense the correct way. Granted, he still has to go out there and actually do it, but he has taken every single step that he could at this point in the offseason to getting it right. Everybody's talked about how good he is at communicating. Everybody seems to love his offense. The people on hand have been impressed, like the media and that. So yeah, I'm confident, and I do think this offense is going to respond in a very big way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And I think you're right. The expectation that the offense within the first month is going to be some growing pains, 100%. We had the growing pains with Cliff in that first month. Terry not getting the ball in halves of games. That Tampa Bay game looked good, not great. Those following weeks, better, but not best. If I'm going to quote Ben Johnson, since we're keeping him on track. But again, to your point, the depth chart feels better. I think also the fact, and I'm coming to AP's defense here. This is his technical second full season as general manager. He has a better case of what he wants to do for this team. Mm-hmm. That first year, he's moving his family. He wasn't looking at he came out straight up saying he wasn't looking at quarterbacks in the draft until he got to Washington. We got him in what? February?
February. Yep.
February. Well, San Fran was, if I'm not mistaken, middle of the pack, if not a little bit better, when he got hired. If not, they're coming off a playoff run. If memory serves me correct. If not, it usually doesn't, but if it might. He's trying to move his family and his kids. He's trying to figure out a housing situation, trying to figure out a schooling situation, trying to figure out how to get to work, trying to figure out what does this team need versus San Fran. They need a quarterback, they need a receiver, they need a tight end, they need a guard, they need an edge rusher. We needed a little bit of everything coming off Ron Rivera. Love Ron, the man. And the coach, we know what Ron Rivera, the coach, was. We love Ron, the man. I've said this before. So we're into technical year 2 of AP's general managership. And it feels very much like he's finally got this thing figured out. You bring in Chig Okonkwo, you bring in Rashad White, you bring in Van and Diami back to DC. You bring in and you bring back Alec Grady, you bring back Chris Paul, you draft Matt Golden, my guy, you draft Antonio Williams, you bring in like 16 new defensive starters. especially on the defensive line. You bring in Leo Chanel, you bring in Amik Robertson, you bring in Akilla Witherspoon. That's a little bit head scratcher now in camp. You bring in another safety. You bring in Drew Stevens, the UDFA, to come kick against Jake Moody. It feels more complete as a team. So for me, that also makes it feel like we feel more complete as new DC and OC as they're young, starting their actual coordinator journeys. David Blough and Durante Jones aside, I feel a lot better about this team overall than even compared to year one, or in especially last year. Like last year, they said, they pulled the Jey Uso. Yeah, we're gonna run it back. And they met Brock Lesnar, got F5 to a 5-12 season. So here we are with injuries, like injuries included with all that. But it's like, all right, we're gonna run it back. My back, my knee, my ankle, everything hurts.
Yeah.
Everything hurts. So
I think they when I think about us running it back, I think they it was more so the coordinators. I think they did not evaluate where they were effectively with the coordinators. And how could you, right? Because that's based on the first year, not people having tape on you. So you run that back and then everyone has tape and then your coordinators kind of get exposed that kind of second year. And then you realize that maybe the roster you have built around these systems and schemes with the talent is not really the best when you run it up against, other. And I think that's what happened last year. It was a combination of we've built this entire thing around faulty schemes. And then on top of that, we're too old, right? And then the injury bug hit. And then that's kind of, so I think it was a lot of different things. But I do feel like there is better synergy and between AP and the actual coordinators this time with regards to schematic needs. For whatever reason, I feel like we all knew Joe Witt wasn't it, but I feel like maybe he gave Cliff a little bit more benefit of the doubt because Cliff had that pedigree, and so he was trusting Cliff. And I think it kind of fell out a little bit in the second year. I think a little bit has to do with the lack of using of certain, pieces. And I think by the time that it was done, you could kind of see there was a lack of synergy between offensively Cliff and AP with regards to the pieces, the utilization of the pieces, and then what they saw for what they wanted schematically. There's no way you come out of that San Francisco system and you see what Kyle Shanahan is doing and the Cliff is passing the eye test. I know he's watching this like, what is this? Because that's like what they're doing over there with Kyle Shanahan is just some elite level like, schematically and just like the IQ and everything. So I think that second year was kind of where the learning curve came for Cliff. For AP. I wasn't really sold on him as a general manager. I knew he was a great scouter with some of the late round draft picks and how he hit on those with the 49ers and kind of his scouting, but it wasn't necessarily translating for me as a GM. I felt like we had too many projects, but I think this is the first year where I felt like he really got in his GM bag. I don't know if y'all agree or disagree, but I feel like he did some actual GMing and kind of paired that with the scouting, whereas I felt like he was still moving like a scout kind of early on.
Now, I agree with that for sure, but I want to involve DQ in this as well, because I think both Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, this offseason could have been a time where they tucked their tails, both of them. And I think both of them did the exact opposite. And this shouldn't come as a surprise because they always talk about how connected at the hip they were. But I feel like they both moved in the same direction this offseason. And it wasn't just a couple of steps. It was leaps. I mean, Dan Quinn, he said in a press conference recently that he's an aggressive guy, like he's a risk taker. That might be true in a vacuum compared to the everyday Joe Schmo. But by NFL terms, he's about as conservative as they come. Fourth down play calling stuff aside, like he is a traditional coach. He was still trying to do that cover 3 with cover 2 rotation stuff that worked with the Legion of Boom 13 years ago. He brought his friends with him. He was not trying to take risks. He preferred to have the ghost of Bobby Wagner and the ghost of Austin Eckler and the ghost of Zach Ertz than take a risk on a 24-year-old. It's like he's traditional, he's conservative. He took a risk. I mean, Durante Jones has all the experience in the world, so I don't want to talk about him like he's a young coach, but he's a first-time play caller. And it's this Brian Flores system, which we're expecting him to bring some sort of derivative of, is unlike anything else in the NFL. So he took a risk there, and then it's ballsy to hire a 30-year-old, again, basically glorified assistant position coach. It's ballsy to make him your offensive coordinator, even though I think that was the right thing to do. I didn't expect him to do it, so I give him credit there. Where I give AP credit is I think he was drafting off of his philosophies in the first two drafts. But as far as the players that he was signing on the roster and like whether or not he was turning up the heat on different coaches, I think it was very much, Dan, you control all of that. I'm just going to draft the players. But, you know, again, you're a traditional coach, so I'll make sure you have these old veterans. I'll make sure that you have locker room culture guys, even if they run a 6.5 in the 40-yard dash. Eventually that got exposed, and AP said, look, we can't keep going like this. We just can't. So I'm going to spend more money than anybody in free agency. We're going to get younger. We're going to get faster. We're going to build in my identity. You make sure you have the right coaches in place to work with them. Dan Quinn goes out, upholds his end of the bargain. And then I think this team, again, it's moved forward, and it's moved forward collectively.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm with you on that one. All right, Maul, listen here. I don't fully agree with this. AP should be on the highest seed besides Trey Amos. He spelled Terry Amos, Mikey, and JD5. Who else has drafted that we felt good about? This draft has to pop, or players of previous ones must pop. I wouldn't say hot seat.
I'm burning. Can I go first here?
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Go ahead.
I don't agree with this at all, Maul. And like, that's not me saying you're wrong, because we all have our opinions. Let me make that clear. But my opinion does not align with this at all. I think Adam Peters is the best thing that has happened in this organization, aside from drafting Jayden Daniels, who was an Adam Peters draft pick, and I don't know how long. If we just talk about the basic way to run an organization, there are not leaks coming out of this building. This culture is excellent. Players want to come play here. Credit to Josh Harris for this as well, but a good GM relays this information, puts the pressure on. They've upgraded facilities and locker rooms and things of that nature. The stench has been removed. AP has the respect of everyone else out there. He might have gone a little too cutthroat with Terry, but honestly, I'd rather him be too cutthroat than not cutthroat enough. Like, prove to me that you have that metal that you can hold up. Has he done some things that didn't work out? Yes, the trading for Deebo Samuel, trading for Marshawn Lattimore didn't work out. But I'll tell you what, if we went through 2024 at the trade deadline and didn't trade for a corner, everybody would have said you need to fire Adam Peters, because this team had a chance to win a Super Bowl, but he didn't try to upgrade the corner. So he took a chance. It didn't work out. You watching this video, you right here, you over there in the corner, you've all tried things that haven't worked out. Doesn't mean that it wasn't the right idea. It just didn't come off for whatever reason. So Adam Peters, as far as cleaning up the cap, building out the depth of this roster, this team, I always reference this, which sounds so silly, but this team went 0-3 in the preseason last season, and they lost by an aggregate score of 109-38. They lost by 71 points in the preseason. And that might sound like nothing because it's the preseason, but it's indicative of how deep your roster is, how much talent there actually is. I would bet of my reputation, whatever that accounts for, probably like $5.25. But I would bet my reputation they have a winning record in the preseason this time around. And it wouldn't surprise me if they go undefeated, because the roster is so much better than it was just a couple of seasons ago. So are we still looking for some of these draft picks to get a little bit better? Yes, of course. I would love it if Johnny Newton was actually the next Aaron Donald, like people might have talked about him being. But the defense was garbage. Nobody knew what to do. You could see they were yelling at each other. Like when the ball stopped, hey, what do I do on this play? Nobody seemed to know the basic principles of anything. They were trying to turn Mikey, who's 5'8" and doesn't have long speed, into a cover one press man corner. Like, it's just obvious.
I see someone capping for Joe Witt in the chat, and we gotta just admit that Joe Witt misutilized some of the players. Like, you can call him a scapegoat all you want, but at the end of the day, he is the coordinator. That's like me being the boss of a team, and my team performing badly, and at the end of the day, the leader is going to have to be held accountable to that. You can't have a bad defense for 2 years. 2 years. They actually gave him the benefit of the doubt. if he was going to be scapegoated, he would have been fired after 2024. They let him stay on to give him another shot at this, like, and they gave him some big body DNs because what Joe Witt said we needed to do was to set edges, right? So they went and gave him some big body DNs to set edges. And you know what? The linebackers were still too slow, right? That's him missing that evaluation. He wanted to keep Bobby out on the field. He liked Louvu, and he refused to play Jordan McGee. So, I'm not going to sit here. If you are going to say it is Dan Quinn's defense, Dan Quinn gave his homeboy an opportunity. He brought Joe Witt over here. Joe Witt's job is as the pass game coordinator to handle the back end, right? Dan Quinn is the linebacker guy, right? So you're supposed to have all the ideas for the back end, Joe Witt, and help it marry to the front, right? And the fact that the corners kind of were pretty bad too. So it's everybody's fault. You can't say he's a scapegoat, right? We can't, just like we can't sit here and say the players played up to the level they were supposed to play. Like when you have a 5-12 season and it looks that bad, it's everybody. Like it's not just one person. We can't say he was scapegoated. That defense looked bad for 2 years, right? So and he could have easily got fired the first year if they were interested in scapegoating anybody. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I agree with everything Grant said here, right? At the end of the day, and I saw Maul also. It's a third year in a rebuild, and y'all have to remember the GM's job is a lot of different things. It's not just to kind of like pop on every draft class, right? That didn't happen with Howie Roseman. Like Howie Roseman has had some bad drafts starting out, right? He had a lot to do. He had to come and clean up behind Ron Rivera. Ron didn't leave him with much. He had to get some big money contracts off the books. He had to flip some things. He had, so this is the first year where I feel like he's had some major kind of cap space to work with, and he went out and got studs. He spent the money, and to talk about some of these draft picks not popping, Joe Witt's scheme didn't really fit, Johnny Newton's skill set. He's a one gap penetrator. Joe Witt running a two gap, kind of like technique or scheme, so Johnny Witt's not a run stopper, but he wanted to use Johnny Witt as a run stopper. We are talking about a fullback tight end hybrid that's supposed to be used in 13 personnel heavy tight end looks. When has the spread air raid system ever utilized tight ends? Never, right? So yeah, like he is over there in the Shanahan scheme looking at that Kyle Juszczyk and how Kittles is getting busy as a tight end, and yeah, he fell in love with the fullback tight end hybrid because in pro style schemes they cook, right? So let's see what Ben Sinnott does this year before we say that that's a bust pick for the GM, right? Like I said, I think there was a disconnect between the GM on what he saw for some of these guys and what Cliff's scheme was really going to do, right? So I'm ready to evaluate some of these players after this year, but yeah, I had to. So why draft him if he doesn't fit the air raid system? Because I don't think AP knew that. I think after this year he knows that, right? We are talking about a guy coming in very quickly. And to John's point, I am over here in the San Francisco system. In the last few years, I've been scouting specifically for the system, right? So what I'm familiar with is what fits a pro style scheme. Now I'm got this new job and I'm coming over here and I'm in real time having to draft based on what I've been scouting and what I know of players for the last 2 years in a different system, while also trying to find fits for systems that I don't know what it looks like, right?
And Asia, who did AP tell Ben Sinnott he reminded him of when he called him? He said you remind me of George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk.
George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk. So yes, like I get what everyone's saying, but that was within the context of that scheme. And again, at the end of the day, he's a tight end. You can still use him, right? So that's on Cliff for wanting to lean on Zach Ertz and not use him, right? So it's not saying that you could not get utilization out of him. that is pretty much Cliff deciding that I don't want to use him. So there's a lot going on there. But at the end of the day, you gotta like, come on, man. They came in here and had to very much on the fly, like kind of piecemeal a team together. And they took that thing all the way to the NFC Championship, right? So you sitting here ready to get rid of the GM after that? Like they fell off last year. And step back 1 year, step back. Like you gotta give them the third year to get it back on track before you're ready to throw everybody away and put them on the hot seat and fire people. That's just not reasonable. So I have to agree with Grant on what he said around.
John, can you go to the private chat here? I've sent you a link. Is it possible for you to pull this up real quick?
Oh, for sure. Come on now.
Thank you.
If there's anything, I got video clips for days. Let me see this thing.
So this is for the people saying that Joe Whitt Jr. was scapegoated, anything like that. Look, the two things can be true. The team has been upgraded since. He didn't have a good roster to work with. He also did not do a great job. And this play, more than any other, proves that to me. Before you press play, just so everyone in the chat is on the same page here. Cover 0 is the most aggressive play that you have. 0 stands for zero safety help. It's man on man. We are blitzing everybody. This play is a cover 0, and they rush 3 people. It's supposed to be 6, 7, or 8 blitzers. They have a 3-man cover 0. So play this out and watch Lattimore, watch Reeves, and they're all pointing at each other like, "What are we doing? What the hell's going on? What are we doing on this play?" Just look at what happens here. Luvu right now has got his arms up. He's like, "What's going on?" Everybody's running around. Reeves is going to crash. Reeves right there. He's like, "What's going on?" He's looking like, guys, someone tell me the play. Look at this. They rush 3 and they have nobody deep. This is in like week 8 or week 9. They're going against the team that nobody knew they were going to win the Super Bowl, but they did end up winning the Super Bowl. This team was just so unprepared. And I make sure to say this because I don't think Joe Whitt is a stupid guy. You have to be a freaking genius to be at the level that Joe Whitt Jr. is at. That doesn't mean that he had the attention of the players. That doesn't mean that he knew their communication style. Wherever it went wrong, it went wrong. So again, the roster's a lot better now, but Joe Whitt Jr. did not cover himself in glory in any way.
No. Well, then even run this through, see if I can do a frame by frame on Twitter. Tory Horton, I wanted selfishly.
I did too. Yeah, we agreed on that.
We were so agree. 2 yards of separation on Mike Samerson, who was supposed to be, as Nick Saban himself, the god of college football, if you want to call him that, the best pound for pound player in that 24 draft. Shout out to Kay. She sent a $5 super sticker and super chat to all of our channels. We love you, Kay. We appreciate you. We always do.
That's insane, by the way. Thank you so much, Kay.
Thank you, Kay. Truly. But look at Wagner all by himself on an island, wishing he had some dinner right now. You see, I don't even know who this is, standing up straight as Ashton Genty in college. You have Von Miller here, arms. He has a free shot to Sam Darnold and doesn't take it. You have, I forget who this is down here, separation of about 5 yards. All right, this receiver's done. Tyler Owens has, I'm going to assume this is JSN just based on coverage.
No, JSN's at the bottom. They have a bracket on JSN.
There we go.
That he's on Chardonnay.
There he is. Yeah. Oh my God. The glass of wine himself. But look at this. 1, 2, 3 yard of separation on Mikey. Here comes Jackson out of his break. And this is number 2 right here. I forget who this is. This might be Jake Bobo or Cody White. Or Ricky White. One of the two. And then Darnold's on the ground, ball's in the air, separation, gonna get away from these defenders, separation, would come back if Tyler Owens could play coverage. And touchdown.
I mean, bro, this is the most aggressive defense you have, and they rushed 3. How does that make any sense in the world?
Well, remember, I think the Seahawks, this is the one where they came out and said they knew everything that Joe Whitt was running. Yeah. This was the game where they came out and was like, this was the easiest coverage they ever went up against, and they knew everything that is on the coordinator, not making adjustments. That they are doing their job, watching the film on Joe Witt, and Joe Witt just coming out running the same thing. So that, like, I get what you're saying. People, I hear this a lot. People feels like this defense belonged to DQ. DQ is the defensive-minded head coach. He's not taking flack for it as defensive-minded head coach. The game-to-game preparation, the teaching it to the guys, it's not on the head coach, right? And the making and the play calling or the making the adjustments within, that is on the coordinator, right? So the coordinator just has to kind of hold some water here. Like, if you want to say, I will accept anyone saying that DQ got to hold some of this on the defense. I agree with that. If you want to say that DQ needs to take some blame as a defensive-minded head coach, I will agree with you all day. But we can't say that the defensive coordinator was scapegoated. Like, he owns some of it. That's it. But this not a defensive stream, y'all. We get into the Joe Witt. No. Like, this must be about the offense.
Because it's so easy. It's so easy. But moving on to the offense.
Sorry, I have to respond to one guy because he called me slow.
Yes.
Cool beans.
Oh no.
Rushing 3 means you have more in coverage. Dude, are you slow? Listen, when you rush 3, it's probably because you're playing cover 4, which is a structurally sound defense. You have your deep quarters, you have your flat defenders, and you have your hook curl guys in the intermediate area. Cover 0, just because you only rush 3, when it's a freaking cover 0, which means there's literally nobody playing deep down the field. It was a bunch of guys who had no clue. If you watch Jeremy Reeves, and I know you took it off the screen, he doesn't do anything on the play. Jeremy Reeves literally just stands around. Bobby Wagner just stands around because they don't know what the play is. They don't know what they're supposed
stands
to do.
around.
Yes. So there's this. I don't know how else to say this.
Watch.
A 3-man rush is not cover 0. Those things don't exist. This is not in any playbook at any level of football. But this is what the Commanders did in prime time.
Why is there a triangle of defenderless defenders on a quarterback? Luvu, Wagner, Reeves. Reeves makes a business decision to try and do like a swing safety blitz. Luvu can't decide what he wants to do. Wagner just sitting there like, I'm going to Hall of Fame anyways, guys. I'm just here to have fun. And
Mikey gets roasted, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, if this was what a 3-man rush should be, there are 3 safeties right there waiting to help out on Torrey Horton, but they're not.
And they're not. And mind you, Torrey Horton, a rookie 4th-round pick out of Colorado State, if my math serves me correctly, I should know I'm the draft guy. This is not a shot against Jalen Lane because he's done okay for us. Horton immediately came onto that offense and said, "I'll give you about 405." He gave him the Debo treatment, and he's now wide receiver 2, 3 with them right now, and we're all debating if Jalen Lane's the 6th wide receiver without Clint Kubiak, because now he's in Las Vegas with Kirk Cousins and Kirk Cousins' son. So, I mean, there's their same quarterback. I did that. So
that was good.
I'm with him on this one. Like, JSN's on a bracket, and knowing JSN, if they threw him the ball, he would have turned that for 6 yards. If we're being completely honest, he would have smoked those 2 safeties, and you couldn't find Quan. So, I mean, hopefully Durante Jones turned this around. But what I'm more excited for, and I said this on the Commanders Clash Classic against Z, and predictably I fell into his trap. We got offense. We got popcorn. We got fireworks. I'm here for it. So, Jeff, you
somebody said they sent this super chat. Let me see.
I don't see it either.
I'm seeing them all. Jeff, make sure your and this only because I've sent them before and it didn't work properly. Make sure your card didn't get transaction.
You got a text from the bank, suspicious transaction or something.
Yeah.
Coulda.
Make sure YouTube didn't send you the wrong credit card and it sends it to a Brazilian YouTube channel that you did not know about on your credit card. Make sure you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that because YouTube be trifling. So, all right. But go into the offense. Enough of this defense on this offensive stream. So going, and I did this with Kay when we did the defense, and I'll kind of do a similar with you guys, but this is much more of an analytical sideways, the way we just did this for that one clip of the defense. Starting in the QB room, because I'm keeping 3 of these guys, and it's an easy 3. Jayden 5, Marcus Mariota, Sam Hartman, Ethan Kaliakmanis. The only quarterback in our top 30 visit, and yet we drafted him in the 7th round, which I would have taken Andre Fuller, corner out of Toledo, to bring us some depth, but that's neither here nor there. How are we feeling offensively about the same quarterback room, but you just add a better, less head and shoulders, Dove, L'Oreal, Sam Hartman, Nathan?
So I do agree with this. I think they've seen enough of Sam. I've seen enough of Sam Hartman. I was there for the game in preseason last. It was tough. I do think the scheme that we're switching to, I don't think Sam Hartman has the arm strength for what they want to do. So I do think that maybe Ethan here is a better fit for Blough and what he wants to do. So I do have it kind of being 3 quarterbacks with Jayden, Marcus, and Ethan is the AK himself.
I mean, Jackson's right at this rate. He might as well.
I mean, I'm just wondering, Asia said this isn't the right system for him. I'm wondering what the Sam Hartman system is. Because if you have that answer, man, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. I'm curious. Is it Los Angeles with a Harbaugh?
I don't know.
I think it's like a single wing sort of deal back at the high school level.
I mean, if you want to go that route, he'll go to the Jets.
Yeah, we were literally tanking. They can say they weren't tanking all they want, but we were literally tanking, and they refused to put him in there. That's how bad he is.
That was crazy. Yeah. They signed Jeff Driscoll and put him on the roster like a day later.
It was so fun, and the fact that we all like for all of us who like recognize what Jeff Driscoll was, he fit right in like a glove.
Yeah,
it was the best, and it was like. So this tells me they have no faith in the former Notre Dame Fighting Irishman. It's just like, Coach Driscoll, you want to come back real quick? We got you.
I think the fact that they drafted Ethan, and I think the fact that David Blough was the quarterback coach, so he's been in that quarterback room. I think he just has a clear-cut handle on the ceiling here for one Sam Hartman. So the fact that they drafted the quarterback here just lets me know that they've had enough of that experience. And Cliff used to make comments about Sam in the pressers too. So I don't think Cliff was high on him either.
Not at all. There we go, Jeff. Now we see it. Now we got you.
Appreciate you, Jeff.
Appreciate you, fam. We appreciate you.
Now we get to play the mystery game of who was it actually to.
You're right. We'll figure that out later. We'll see that in one of our.
Don't tell us. We'll see it at the end of the month.
No, don't tell us. Yeah,
which is tomorrow.
When they get paid out and I don't get paid out by you, so we'll figure this out later. But I said this with shout out to Dalton Wasserman when I had him on for the much early 2-hour mock draft. He and I talked for another 40 minutes backstage, and he was like, the only 2 picks I did not have any sort of hope and logic behind was the Patriots drafting the Texas Tech quarterback Motram and us taking Kaliakmanis. And I had the same idea because we needed more than a quarterback depth. Now, Sam Hartman was never going to be a future piece. I'm sorry. He'll be a future piece, and like someone said in an Old Spice commercial, he can go do that with Terry Crews, and the fans will love it. But we're playing football. We're playing pigskin. Sam Hartman ain't got a future in this. I'm sorry. Kate said the UFL. Someone said the Defenders. That's much too high praise for him. He can go back to Notre Dame. Now, if you look at the Rutgers tape for Ethan, it's not actually the worst tape I've ever seen.
No.
For a college quarterback. I've seen much worse. I've seen a hell of a lot better. But for a 7th round, 3rd piece of the quarterback room that's going to get younger, he fits what we all think Blough looks for in a backup quarterback or a project quarterback. Because also, Marcus ain't going to be here forever. Marcus is much
expensive. Like
that's well,
he's
so
getting
that's the whole reason. And I've talked about this already. And you guys feel free to let me know if you disagree. I think the whole reason they drafted Ethan is because they need to move on from Marcus. Like Jayden's about to be making, if this year goes how we think it will for Jayden, he'll be pushing to be the first quarterback to be making $70 million a season or something like that. Like Jayden's going to get the bag. And at that point, they're going to sit back and look and say, dude, look, if we're paying you this much money, we can't also pay top backup money to your backup. So if we can get a guy on a 7th round contract who, let's say you miss 4 games, if we think he could win maybe 2, like best case scenario 2, at least win 1 of them, then we're willing to move on from Marcus. It's nothing against him, but it is in his Commander's career. His first year, it's a 1 year for $6 million. Last year, it's 1 year for $8 million. This year, it's 1 year for $7 million. So let's just call it a $7 million average. That's what it would cost to bring him back next season. Odafe this season's cap hit is $9.2 million. Now it goes up a lot in the following seasons, but even still, Sonny Styles, 7th pick in the draft, is $6.7 million, less than Marcus Mariota. John Bates is $5.8 million. Chig is $5.3 million. Nick Cross is $5.3 million. Amik Robertson is $5 million. So it's like, would you rather have a really good backup quarterback? Which I've always said, if your backup quarterback is playing, you're screwed anyway. Stop paying good money to backup quarterbacks unless you don't know who your starter is, because you're going to lose games if they're out there anyway. Instead, why not go give yourself the flexibility to sign another Nick Cross, to sign another Chig, a guy who really helps your football team. So if Ethan is mediocre, that's enough. That's enough to justify it.
I think he's on a rookie deal. So you kind of, I had a theory or a thought process here in that, he elevates to quarterback 2 and then maybe Marcus goes more to a quarterback 3, then you kind of force his hand, because I've listened to Marcus every time he goes out. He wants to be back on the West Coast with his family. So those are the only jobs he really looks for. And then he comes right back here because he just loves it here. He loves the building. I just feel like he just is he feels like he's on kind of a quarterback coach type of trajectory, and kind of that's where he is in his mindset and what he wants to kind of be transitioning to. So I wouldn't even, I can see Marcus coming back as kind of like a quarterback 3 just to stay in the room and get that opportunity. But quarterback 3 is cheaper than quarterback 2, so it just gives the front office more negotiating leverage in terms of that price point. But he's starting to get a little pricey. And
he is. So. When Marcus's contract in its entirety is what they're paying the entire practice squad members, that's insane.
Yeah. For a guy who, if everything goes how you want it to, let's think about this. You build your roster to make yourself as competitive as possible. If you're as competitive as possible, that guy you're paying all that money is not touching the field.
No.
Yeah, he shouldn't.
Nope. Not at all.
You don't want to pay Jayden the big money quarterback contract and then you just don't. So I am looking forward to a point where we push Marcus down a depth chart here. It's been great. But I'm seeing way too much of the backup quarterback here. So it's time for us to move on from that.
I've seen too many Marcus Mariota check downs late in the season.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, going to what Asia said about the Seahawks knew the play, the Dolphins said, we knew he was going to throw us one. It was there the whole game.
Just in overtime to win the game.
Marcus will throw you out of a game.
And it's so, and love Marcus, but you're a 12-year vet, Heisman trophy winner who went to Oregon, and he made, I get it, he made a mistake, but he spent a rookie mistake, because if Hartman throws that pass, we know what Hartman was going to do. If a wide receiver had thrown that pass, all right, cool. This was overtime, and they drew you ass like a book.
Yeah,
they had your ass locked down.
Yeah, he gets very pass happy. Starts. I was in the building for the Broncos game. He was slaying that thing. It was there was some. I was like, all right, he's starting to get too comfortable. I want him to hand this ball off. Because that Marcus starts to really settle in, and then he starts airing it out. He think he back, in college. At Oregon. So, sometimes he does get a little pass happy. But I think from just a roster management standpoint, it just makes sense for AK to kind of for them to be developing him as the heir apparent to Marcus. So this makes sense. But yeah, bye Sam Hartman. Somebody made the case that we're about to see how much motion Jayden really has. Like, because Sam Hartman is still on the team. Like,
Hartman is about to be part of this command of force on the sidelines for years to come.
Yeah.
He's going to be up there with Tana and Smoot and all that.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right. On 2027, why is Sam Hartman the command center?
Sam Hartman's the first ever live game liaison reporter who's on the sideline with a microphone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Halftime. Why is Sam Hartman wearing an EA helmet? Are they doing testing for 28? Oh no. Oh no.
I think the ladies in the fan base will be disappointed, but I'm one of the few that is just ready to move on.
If Hartman goes to the Chargers, they need to sign up for that Head and Shoulders commercial. They got two. They got two all.
They got two of them. Yeah, they got two of them over there.
throw. Actually, I mean, if he goes to San Francisco, he can go get Fred Warner and finish out a trio, just all long hair.
Let's give Cool Pink. All right, Cool Beans. You're right. Right, you're right about everything. And whatever you plan on putting in the chat, just give him his just let him have his kind of goodness gracious. You're like a toddler. You just need to constantly. You are right, buddy. You are so right, and we are so wrong. So hopefully that.
Come on, fam.
Yeah, good God. He is killing the chat.
Killing it. Yeah. See, Cool Beans sat down, heard us talking, and said,
"We starting off on bullshit." How fuck?
That's immediately what happened.
Why do you have that queued up?
My man said he's gonna troll us the whole live stream. Dang, bro. Like, you right.
If you saw my soundboard.
Yeah.
Hey, Cool Beans, look, I'm gonna need you to relax, my buddy. Relax. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Hey, Cool Beans.
You are preaching some bull jive right now. You on that narcotic and you know it.
Relax.
John.
Leave him alone, John.
I've never even seen these clips before.
Hey, what did I say at Triple C? You don't got to be ready, be stay ready with these things. My soundboard is outrageous.
Crazy.
Go into the biggest piece of this offseason and kind of where we're at now with the whole will they, won't they, Aiyuk to Diggs situation. This wide receiver room. This is all 11 of them on the roster, from UDFAs to practice squad to draft picks to signees. 11 wide receivers on the roster. Would have been 12, but they got rid of Ja'Cory Brooks early in the offseason. It's a room.
Terry and the Pips. Terry and the guys.
Wait, this is all of them?
All of them.
I think you're
Who
missing somebody. Right?
Oh, yes.
I got it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
You should have known, Grant. You should have known.
I am missing Brandon Aiyuk. You were 100% right.
Listen,
it was not a dog whistle, Cool Beans. It was a straight up me calling you a troll. It wasn't a dog whistle. Dog. I'm too straightforward for that. You are a troll. Let's get back to this though.
Back to business.
I'm gonna put this out there, and you guys can do with this what you will. This is a little theory. I wrote an article on Substack, and I actually forget what it was about at this point, but it was called the Full Command Conspiracy Theory. I like putting some theories together, right? Brandon Aiyuk, I'll make this quick. He thought he was going to be released by June 1st. I think that much is clear. He's not. He starts posting blah blah blah. He's posting every single day. So my girl works for the government. And one of the things she taught me is when they're evaluating like foreign leaders and whatnot, just people of importance, they don't judge them by what they do. Like if what they do is horrible to us, like whatever, they judge them by what is the baseline for their behavior. And then do they deviate off of that? So if you have someone who is erratic and then all of a sudden they're very calm and consistent, like that's an issue. Something has changed. If you have someone who's very flatlined, and then they become very eccentric, something's going on, right? So Brandon Aiyuk had been escalating. His behavior was videos, Instagram posts, everything like that. Then it goes to YouTube. What's the last thing we heard from him? He we learned on Saturday that he filed the paperwork, fired his agent. He makes a written statement, which goes on Instagram, but it's a written statement, no picture, no video, no voice, nothing, just appeals to the NFLPA, and he's been radio silent ever since then. So I can say with a reasonable level of confidence, he is going about the things that he needs to do behind the scenes, getting the warrant taken care of, trying to get himself reinstated. I don't know if someone's in his ear or not. I don't know if he finally figured it out himself.
Yeah.
But I would almost guarantee that he is now on the road to getting reinstated.
I that was kind of my take on it. I think I got like the 49ers fans were killing me when I said this. I said, oh, he was going to go to training camp. Like, and they were like, how you know he could have been? I was like, hey man, I'm just making an observation. My man was quiet, and then they canceled training camp, and he's just freaking out online. I'm not saying the two things are related. I'm saying that he was gonna pop in, and they just happened to cancel it, and that was kind of his course of action. So I think that's what set him off. But I also think he didn't have a plan, because up until this point, I'm one of those people, I need access to information, right? So I knew he had an agent up until he said he didn't have an agent. And when he said he didn't have an agent, I was like, oh, you freestyling. So I think somebody has got a hold of him. And I think it's because you are now making this messy for the Commanders, which, we don't do mess over here, right? You got people online talking about tampering. You got, like, it was cool when you were just beefing, and that was between y'all over there. You pulling us into it. So I do think somebody kind of got to him and was like, hey, you need to kind of calm down a little bit, right? Like,
do you think she might have had that last name? Right there?
I think Mama 5 got a hold of him and told him
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, put some action items to this. Calm down, like, just handle your business. Because he's went from
Brandon
being kind of just trolling, being erratic, to kind of, all right, let me tell you what really happened. Let me start to make sense. Let me start. And to some people, it might not make sense, but this went from being trolling to being irrational to it got serious with him talking about his grievance. So I do think someone got a hold of him and told him, you are not doing this in the way where the Commanders are wanting to be, kind of like, so he was being a little immature, and then he got us caught up in some mess, and I think they telling him calm down. But get back to the room. I do think, and I do agree. So if you can pull it back up, because I think there were someone in there, or someone was like, we need a wide receiver too. And I asked this question on Twitter. I was like, I see people all over the place with the takes on the wide receiver room. It goes from the room is trash to it's elite, because we got Van Jefferson. Y'all 1 week was ready to name Van Jefferson the wide receiver too, and then the next week is like the whole room is trash. So I kind of wanted to understand a little bit, like, is it the lack of a true other boundary receiver on the other side of Terry that people are looking for, or is it you're just not comfortable with the depth in general? And I think most people came to the point in that we feel like they have elevated the floor of the room, so they're comfortable with the depth, but they really, I said, it sounds like we are wanting a 1B, right? Because when you say wide receiver 2 to me, I go to target share, right? And I'm like, well, if the scheme is going to look a certain way, we're already looking at Chig as kind of getting those kind of wide receiver 2 type of targets, right? With how the distribution of how that ball is going to be kind of spread out within the scheme. Now, if you say that Terry goes down and gets injured, there is no one on the team that can step in and function as a 1. And I do think that I do understand most of the fan base when they're saying they're calling it a wide receiver 2, but I think what people are truly looking for is a 1B, right? We need somebody. I think Terry getting injured last year just really made it real for us what this thing looks like without Terry. And I do agree with most people that if Terry gets injured, we're screwed, right? But if Terry is out there, and if we are saying that the new scheme is going to do a better job of scheming people open, I do think a lot of these guys that just haven't popped yet are going to give us some production and do much better. But I do think that this team is lacking a 1B, right? You're looking at, when you look at the Bengals, you have kind of like, they have a 1A, 1B, you know, they have T. Higgins, right? When you look at the Eagles, before they traded away AJ Brown, you could kind of look at Smitty like a 1B, right? Most of these really, really, really good, even looking at Dallas, like they look at Pickens kind of like a 1B to CD. So I think most people are really, really wanting kind of like a 1B, and not necessarily like, I know they're saying wide receiver 2, but I think most people are just, they need a 1B type of player in the room to make people feel comfortable. And I agree with that.
Yeah, I'll give that. I know I've said wide receiver 2 in the past. I'm like, all right. Like in the actual wide receiver scope, it's Terry, and then who's going to be the next one to step up or take over if something happens. I've had Antonio there since we drafted him. I love Diami. I love Treylon. Love Jalen Lane. You know, Spooky Lukey for TBB. That's him. As much as Brady want to hate on him, that's fine by us. But to that point, if Terry goes down, we're looking around like, what now? Antonio's gonna be a rookie. He is a McChicken away from being 6 foot. Diami is, you know, gonna supposedly stretch the field. Luke McCaffrey's coming off injury. Treylon Burks, we'll figure what to do with him if he makes the roster. Van Jefferson is a veteran. Every team wants apparently. Jalen Lane is our punt returner, and then Bradley at 6'4" practice squad. Chris Hilton's at a slot. Nick Nash. It was a tremendous San Diego State wide receiver for college football and has done ish in the league. And then Jacoby Jones has been practice squad poppy the whole time. I get the idea of we don't have a 1B unless in this actual wide receiver thing. Now you can say 1B is Chig or 1B is Williams. I think for a lot of people outside of Terry, a lot of people, casuals, can go, who else? What else they got?
I think Williams and Chig as a 1B is a bold take. I don't want to put that on a rookie. I would like for us to handle him and not to put that pressure on him. And Chig is a tight end, so at the end of the day, like we still have to you know, he's not going to be out there as the X if Terry goes down, you know. So, but I kind of want to know what Grant. You know, I saw you shaking your head, so wanted to. Is that how you see it, or do you see it differently?
Oh, if I was shaking my head, that was probably just me like nodding.
No, you were nodding. Yeah. So when I was saying that, you were kind of nodding yes. So I don't know if you was yes in agreement or yes, you wide receiver 2, like what your thoughts were.
No, I think 1B is actually the perfect way to put it, and I'll say I'm probably guilty of that because I probably have referred to it as wide receiver 2, but I think you're probably spot on in that, and it's in that nomenclature. I think kind of sets this argument up, because really not argument, just this discussion up, because when you look at this room right now, I know we're going to more under center, more 12 and stuff like that, but like if this is just straight up 11 where we're spreading out, you've got 3 wide receivers on the field, you close your eyes, like, all right, cool. I've got Chig here, I'm cool with that. I've got Terry there, I'm cool with that. I've got Antonio Williams, I'm cool with that. Who's that last guy? Who is it actually going to be? And, you know, Luke's going to have moments this season. Diami's going to have moments. Treylon's going to have moments. But if this team is really trying to get to where it's trying to go to, like, you want consistency, you want comfortability, you want proven players at every position. So if you're bringing Aiyuk or Diggs or whoever, I mean, Diggs is kind of a guarantee at this point, but like, let's just call it Aiyuk. Yes, it's still a bit of an unknown, but you've seen him be at that level. And at that point, like, you've got 6 eggs in your carton, and you could chuck it at a wall, and 5 of them could crack, but one of them, whether it is Treylon, whether it's Aiyuk, whether it's Diami, if any one of them emerges unbroken, like, okay, cool, you've got your 3 receivers, you're good with that. Because right now it does feel top heavy. Terry, especially, like, as much as I love Antonio Williams, and I don't mind putting the wide receiver 1B title on him if they go about the rest of the offseason and they don't bring someone in, I do think he's good enough to do it. And is it unfair? Like, yeah, sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, who cares? Professional sports, go out there and do your job. So I'm still comfortable with that. But if Terry goes down, I mean, they don't have an X on the roster. And we saw what that did to Jayden last season. I mean, they were putting guys. They put Chris Moore there kind of just because he had the physical profile for it. It's like, is Jaden Bradley going to be the X? And then it's Dyami and Treylon still rotating next to Antonio Williams. It's just, I don't want to get to that situation. So if they can bring in Aiyuk, if they can bring in Diggs, if they can bring in somebody who's a proven commodity, then I would feel really good with this room. Because again, one of those guys, whether it's Luke, Treylon, Diab, one of them's going to emerge, but then you would also have those top three that you're comfortable in.
Yeah, I agree with Grant 100%. I think one more, I think the floor is elevated, but I think the ceiling needs some work, right? And so I think if you bring in a Diggs or an Aiyuk, it makes everybody more comfortable, right? And so I do want to engage in the exercise of, let's say we do bring in a Diggs or Aiyuk. Who's the odd man out here? Who gets left off?
So I have a hot take. First I should ask this: are we buying into the Van Jefferson year 7 breakout?
There was a conversation about this.
We're all on the same page, right? Like this is off-season stuff that does not actually matter.
Was not buying into it. That man is a professional wide receiver that played in the Super Bowl. I was so upset with DQ talking about him like that because he's not a camp body. He was going to come in and take this seriously and do his job. But DQ's a rah-rah guy. But it had the timeline in shambles when he did that day. Like, it had people talk about him wide receiver too. But I do know, I think I said this on a stream with Rio. The Van Jefferson pickup felt like a holy crap, this Aiyuk thing is taking longer. It's going to take longer than we think. We need an insurance policy. So he felt like let's just pick him up, right?
He's a camp body through and through.
He's a camp body, but he just happens to be an elite level camp body. He's a professional. So I have him as kind of the 7th guy, but I was curious on where other people saw it.
That's where I'm at. I have him as the 7th guy. Sorry, John. I have him as the 7th guy with them keeping 6. I would have to go through and do a full 53 man, but the way that I've worked it out in my head without seeing it all on paper is I could actually see them keeping 7 if Aiyuk does show up, because again, there's going to be a lot of using the egg in the carton. Who's not going to break, but we kind of need to throw you all at the wall first to see who, to even figure out that's the base of the experiment. We got to actually start it.
Yeah.
And then Aiyuk, he's going to be getting back in shape. He's going to be getting back sharp. I'm sure he's in shape, but he's been away from the game for 2 years now. So there's a level of it's going to take time for him to get back to his best. And even when Terry was there, they had him on a pitch count to start the season. I think that there's a certain level of certainty that they have to keep 4 running backs. They have to keep 4 tight ends, or they have to keep 6 safeties. I'm looking at if you have Brandon Aiyuk joining this room with all those other guys, I can understand cutting Van Jefferson. If it comes down to it, I guess I could understand cutting Dyami Brown or Treylon Burks. But would I rather have one of them, or would I rather have Jeremy McNichols or Percy Butler? Butler for teams, sure, but I could make an argument that I would rather have a 7th wide receiver. And they kept 7 wide receivers at the start of 24. Their week 1 depth chart had 7 wide receivers on it.
Yeah, this feels like a 7 wide receivers is where they like to go. I entertain the idea of kind of you kind of maybe Treylon, because nobody really wants Treylon, so you'll be able to stash him on the practice squad. Yeah, I feel like you can't stash Van Jefferson on the practice squad. Someone go pick that man up. So I just think it depends on. I think I see a lot of people in the chat going Dyami Brown. I don't think they're gonna cut Dyami, y'all. Dyami very much feels like the former Sam Hartman of the wide receiver room. That is Jaden's guy. So it doesn't make sense to what is Asia LHM on me? I don't know.
I do not know.
Okay.
I was wondering if I was just slow because I can't figure it out either.
No.
Left
We're all
hand,
3 for 3.
I hope it's respectful. I just don't know. but yeah, it's hard for me to see them bringing Dyami back and then letting him go. I felt like they brought him back because of his chemistry with Jayden. And I think they're going to keep him. I think they really like Treylon. I think I've heard Treylon talk about his relationship with David Blough. Yeah, like some of these guys have been part of like the Commanders family for a while. Van Jefferson just seems like the odd man out that was initially brought here to be a camp body, and DQ just made a mess of it by praising him in the presser, like, you know, stuff.
They just dropped the answer, but I just Googled it too. And I said,
like, Lord have mercy. Oh, thank you. No, but it's fine. I'm like 42 years old. I really don't know what stuff means. So please don't take it personal.
I'm 24 and I'm in the same boat. So we're all 3 for 3 here.
Like it looked like some just like something that I was not tuned into because I'm really like an older person that doesn't know what stuff means. So
I'm trying to put together. I'm like, I don't do acronyms like this.
Oh man,
I don't learn this new technology nonsense.
Yeah, they got some good stuff in the chat on this too.
They're saying good stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Kind of. Let me scroll up towards the top. Someone said Diami, he asked, Duke can't get over 3. All right. Jacksonville wasn't a great spot for him. They brought him in because of his playoff performance, and that was kind of it. Someone said Burks, Diami.
I do Burks. Yeah, I will say Burks only because you can stash him on the practice squad. Nobody's touching Burks. So
no.
I can
and
see
also
him.
He's much bigger injury risk, I think, is a big part of that.
Yeah. So you know, that I do agree with that. I won't disagree with that.
No. Jeff saying Luke's gonna have a good year. I hope so. I need to get that jersey fixed properly.
I mean,
Luke in a progression read scheme. I mean, like we got to be realistic that Luke's not like a wide receiver 2 or like he's a little further down the progression tree, but I like him
4 or 5.
Yeah, if you can scheme him up to get like a matchup on like a safety or something like that, I like him. I think he's a very smart wide receiver. That's very like, you know, his IQ. When he finds a matchup, he knows how to exploit it. But I don't see him like consistently going up against cornerback 1s and cornerback 2s. You gotta scheme him a certain way in the scheme to get the matchup, right?
Asia, I'm fully messing with you here, but this is John. I think we've joked about this before. This is my favorite form of racism. The white guy is a smart football player.
Yes, 100%. Lunch pail, first in, last out.
How to identify a matchup. That Luke McCaffrey.
Goddamn.
Listen, y'all. That's how I feel about Luke. Listen. There's not. When I look at Luke, he does not really like flash in terms of his athleticism, and even though he's supposed to be a RAS score guy, I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, like he's not really giving me that when I watch him. But he somehow finds a way to get open, and he won't drop no passes when you throw it to him. And then when you do throw it to him, he finds his way in the end zone. So I'm like, he out there figured it out. Like whatever he is doing, he is figuring it out. And I only say that because I watched Jalen Lane kind of struggle last year with route running and the concentration drops and things like that. So it does not come as easy as you think it would. I mean, Jalen played actual wide receiver, even though he's more like a gadget option, the way they used him. Like Luke was a quarterback converted wide receiver. Like I have to give him some credit kind of where he is. Now he does. I am of the notion that he has to pop this year only because this is like his 3rd year. And so he just has to, because it's the rookie deal. And by the time you get to the 3rd year, you really need to see something. Yeah. But I will have to say, I am impressed with Luke, given that he did not play most of he's played other roles. He's been a quarterback. Like this is really, he's learning to play wide receiver in real time at the most difficult level you can kind of do it, you know. So I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So Luke, I mean, we've been talking about Diami a lot as well. Just for context, I mean, Diami Brown's career high is 300 yards. It's like 304 or something like that. Luke broke his collarbone on the opening kickoff of the 9th game. So let's just say he only played 8 games. He was on pace for 430 yards and 6 touchdowns, which like isn't incredible. But he was barely on the field. If you look at his yards per route run, which is a stat that I love, because it's literally a measure of how efficient are you with the opportunities that you get. And this is a small sample size because, again, he only played 8 games in a limited capacity. 33rd in the NFL was Chris Olave. 34th was A.J. Brown. 35th was Luke McCaffrey, tied with Devontae Smith. They were ahead of Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson. Like, I'm not saying Luke is better than any of them, don't get me wrong, but he was producing. And just give him more opportunities and at least see what you have in him.
Yeah, I agree with that. He gives you production, right? And so I'm clear on who he is, and I like him in a progression read scheme where it's like, you know, I feel like he's going to be there for you, and you can't ask for anything more from Luke. So I really like Luke. I see him on the team. I want to love Jaylen. I need to see it. He's an elite special teamer in terms of a punt returner. I hate that he takes up a depth chart spot as a wide receiver right now. And maybe that's more a cliff again because you had 2 gadget guys in the room with Debo and Jaylen Lane. And so I think Debo took Jaylen Lane's gadget snaps. So some of the gadgety stuff they was doing with Debo, I would kind of see them give those opportunities to Jaylen as he develops as a more refined route runner and kind of like, you know, works things out as a wide receiver. I just think you can't have him and Debo in the room. They both they're gadget guys, you know.
Yeah. And as a Hokie, I'll stick up for Jaylen Lane and say that Kyron Drones, the quarterback there, could not throw the football. So Jaylen Lane wasn't developing in college. Like seriously, he wasn't doing anything other than running
that whole team isn't bad.
Crossers and slants. That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Monarch. I've seen them in person. The best player the past 3 years for the Hokies has been someone on the defensive line. Anton Powell-Ryland, it was never a wide receiver. It was never Kyron Drones. I couldn't name a running back on that roster.
You'll agree with me though, John. If we had to pick an offensive player, it would be Jaylen Lane. He looked a different class from everyone else.
It would be. But that's like saying pick your favorite wide receiver from the Dolphins. As of right now,
Tutu Atwell.
Chris Bell, but he's injured. Chris Bell, but he hasn't played. Chris Bell. You have to pick one eventually. I've said this before. Van Jefferson is the odd man out. If we're keeping 6, because I did our predictions and I kept us keeping 9 linebackers, outside linebackers / middle linebackers, the whole thing. Keeping 9 and 9 defensive linemen, so I had to cut a running back and a wide receiver, so I'm keeping 6. I think Van is gone, and that's not taking into account Aiyuk or Diggs or some, Reedy wants a Keenan Allen or Van's probably gone. Diami's had chemistry. Luke still has chemistry. Jaylen has some chemistry. Terry and Tone are guaranteed locks. After those 5, I'd put Treylon or I'd put Jaylen, and I agree. Punt returner, kick returner shouldn't count against the roster, but Dick Blough counts against our roster as a linebacker. So unfortunately,
not this season.
Making this roster. I mean, we'll see what happens with that part.
Linebacker room is crowded. I don't know what happens there, but we're talking offense. I don't want to go off on another tangent and trigger people. Let's stay on offense.
I will say this is Nick Ballore right here, just so y'all know.
I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Jordan McGee is going to be the new all-around linebacker that does everything. Special teams, depth piece, all that.
Hurts my soul for Jordan McGee. I keep going back to that reel that Jordan McGee was going to be the steal of the draft. And I keep eating crow.
It's okay.
I had such high hopes. On that pick.
I mean, if they played him, he had a chance, but then they signed 3 guys who all played his position. So
right. Drafted one this year. It's like, and I'm gonna go just stage left. But Diami's interesting there. Someone saying Lane's only good for special teams, and I mean, people thought that's all Devin Hester was going to be.
It's fair from what people have seen. I will not.
Yeah.
I will agree with that. Based on you can only go by what your eyes see. I just don't think he was used right. Like you had him as a boundary receiver, and he wasn't. Hands wasn't there. The release bag isn't there.
Just for decoration.
But he's a little project.
Yeah.
You could
he's
kind
a
of
project.
Devontae Turpin him though, like just like find some gadget snaps for him where you can leverage his speed and kind of like get the ball in his hand in space and leverage his speed. You can do some things.
So what Age is saying is Lane will go to the UFL, become the UFL MVP for 2 seasons, and then come back to the league to be a special teamer. So I got you now. I like this plan. When the UFL's cut in 3 years.
I'm trying to be glass half full here, I guess. I'm trying to be positive on Lane and not bash him too much. That's
I'm No, I'm with you. I still would have taken a different receiver at the 5th round. I also wasn't scouting Hokies like that because I watched him play and I went, Ace. Sorry, Grant. Neither of our teams were good the past 2 years.
I think if he didn't just do punt returns and actually did kick returns too, you just feel like you're getting better value there. But the fact that he's only does punt returns and then he's not the strongest wide receiver in the room, it does feel like it's like I can get anybody to bring back punts at this point. But he was a rookie, so it's hard for me to just tell us to throw a rookie away after the first year. So give him another year.
Yeah, give him another year. Loose. Yeah, you have to finish out these rookie contracts.
Yeah.
And I think some people. Yeah, you have to figure it out. Like I'll go back and forth with Reedy on TVB. It's like he's like, why is Luke a lock? Because he has guaranteed money in this thing. He was a 3rd round pick. You have guaranteed what 1.5 mil into Luke every year as a rookie contract. Jalen Lane's pushing, I think, 65, 70 as a 5th round pick, and you still spend draft capital on him. If I'm cutting anybody.
Also, with Luke too, like Luke's a top 3 receiver on this football team. I know that's going to ruffle some feathers. People don't like giving Luke McCaffrey compliments, but he is. If they have 3 receivers on the field right now, Luke McCaffrey's one of them.
For what's in the room, that's what's going to trigger people and have them go get Diggs and Aiyuk right now. Because if Luke is the top 3 receiver, we are in trouble. Like, Grant loves triggering these people about receiver room.
I genuinely don't try. Like, I don't say anything for shock value. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I don't control that.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Now, I put these rooms together because the lack of depth. We have 12 or 11 wide receivers. We have 6 of each of these things, running backs and tight ends. I'm only missing Quinnen Moore, the UDFA out of Washington on this list. He's getting cut. Sorry about it. He's I'm sorry about it, Quinn. I apologize, but truth be the truth sometimes. But I think the rooms are kind of already set in stone. If you just cut this graphic in half, like a sandwich.
I would swap Cozy Yankoff for Lawrence Cager, only because I've only ever seen Lawrence Cager on the sideline, being BFFs. Hey. Modeling out new uniforms. I just don't. I know I've seen Kosin Yankoff play. He did some things last year in the preseason. I think he has some versatility as he's another one of those. He played a different position, but converted to tight end. I think he also gives them a lot on special teams. So I would keep this right where it is, but I would just kind of like switch Kosin Yankoff and swap it, and then have Lawrence Cager and Anthony Ferkser being kind of the last 2 guys out. Ferkser, if they go 4 tight ends deep. And then for your running backs, well, I won't go to the running backs. I'll give it to Grant to see how he feels about that.
Yeah, so if going back to the whole Aiyuk thing, because I do think they would keep 7 receivers, they probably have to only keep 3 at one of these positions. The question would be which one, and I think the answer more times than not is probably running backs. But the thing with these running backs is I feel like you could get 3 of them to do a lot of jobs, and you don't need any of them to play teams, which is a big thing. Because like we were talking about with Luke and Lane, like, does it detract from the roster that they do teams? Well, in this case, it helps because you don't need to keep a running back there. Someone like Robert Henry Jr., who I really like his tape. I enjoyed, I think it was the A&M game where he just tore them to pieces. He'll be on the P squad for sure. But one of the benefits to promoting him would be he can do teams. Well, you don't need that. You've got a potential Pro Bowl returner in Luke and a potential Pro Bowl punt returner in Lane. So I think if it's just Bill, Rashad, and Fat Man as a 3-man running back committee, I think that could work. I think you're good there. Now, would it be nice to have McNichols or Ford in there as well? Like, yes, because then you want to be as robust as possible, but there's a limited number of spots available on this team. So the way I would go probably 7 from these 2 rooms, and mine would be Chig, Ben, Bates, Yankoff, Bill, Rashad, and Katron, I think is the way that I see it.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I just did my running back room video, and I talked about the level of versatility that Bill, Rashad, and Katron can give you. Now, like Bill, they all are elite at what they do, but they give you some functionality in other areas. Like, you know, Bill is that outside zone aggressive one cut runner, right? So we know that he can give you that. But if he works on the pass catching ability and the, you know, pass protection, he can give you what Rachaad White gives you, right? And that's the same thing for Rachaad White. If Rachaad White gets those pads on and proves to be a very effective outside zone runner, you kind of got 2 guys that can give you a multitude of things in first and second down where a lot of that's going to happen. I do see Katron Allen as kind of like the red zone piece, but I actually seen some tape of him, and I do think he can give you a little bit more than just downhill running. He did prove to be sort of effective when they did throw the ball to him. He showed that he has some pass catching chops. So I think Bill, Katron, and Rashad will be the 3 guys. Now, this is where I think they hold on to Jeremy McNichols and maybe stash him on practice squad or something like that. I don't see people coming to snatch up Jeremy McNichols. I think Jerome Ford is probably going to get a look, and then you have the UDFA. So I think they've got some running back pieces that they can kind of hold on to and not make the 53-man and let Jerome Ford walk. So that's how I kind of saw it. But you got 2 guys on rookie contracts, which is some elite, again, cap management, roster management. I cannot see AP kind of just ignoring that, right? So I do think it's going to be those 3, like you said. And I do think that Colson Yankoff is kind of the last tight end in the room that kind of makes it in the room.
Fair. I mean, unless you ask Dan Quinn at the coaches' breakfast, he was high on Lawrence Cager for whatever reason.
It's part of who DQ is. Like this is the type of stuff that is important to him, and I think it's important to some players on the roster. But it's the type of stuff that like annoys me. It's analogous to the weekly captains. He wants everybody to feel valued. So Terry McLaurin's in the best shape of his life. Jayden Daniels is back to win the MVP. All this stuff. Man, have I enjoyed Sam Hartman's competitive spirit this offseason. Like, what are you talking about? This means nothing. Oh, Lawrence Cager. Wow. I mean, the year 10 post-position change breakout. He couldn't hack it as a wide receiver, so I guess he's got to be a tight end because he might make it there. And I mean, no disrespect to the guy, but like, when it's the offseason and people are asking you questions about what does the wide receiver room look like? What does the running back room look like? Who has impressed you? Don't consistently talk about the guys who aren't going to make the roster. And again, I'm just complaining. Don't listen to me, Dan Quinn. Not that you ever would.
No, he drives me nuts for that. I mean, he gets the A+. He gets the A+ for coaches, but like the participation trophies kill me. Like, that's why I ignore everything he says in OTAs. I don't even listen to him. I have to go straight to position coaches and the coordinators and kind of listen to them and how they say things. Because DQ just gets up there and just like, I can't do it anymore because
I can't.
It's a soundboard. You push this button. Oh, he's a dog-ass competitor.
Yeah.
We really try to get into that space, man. And it's the same thing over and over.
Like I just can't do it anymore.
Next one, man. We just love the person you were on the visit. Like, come on, man.
To go. Everything's always to go. He's a great guy to go. I don't even know what that means. I don't know why he says it, but
so I just ignore him. I definitely, I think the tight ends are the heartbeat of this new scheme. I think they're going to keep several on there. And I think because we're going to see multiple tight end sets, I think there was a very good question about who's our second best receiving tight end. And I think the answer to that is TBD, right? I think they got a new tight end coach in Ben Steele. Ben Steele was the tight end coach. And please go see, I think Grant did an amazing video around this, and Ben Steele and that whole Cliff Kingsbury with Trey McBride versus what it looked like with Ben Steele and how Ben Steele unlocked and all that stuff. So I think that's a good video he did. I could not have agreed more. I think the way the new scheme works with the play action boot and how those linebackers are going to constantly be in conflict, it is going to open up the grass a lot for a lot of tight end action, right? So I do think we are going to see way more tight end action in the receiving game, even more than wide receivers, y'all. I think we sit up here and we commiserate around this wide receiver room ad nauseum. And I think we're going to see the tight ends just get busy in the pass game. So I do think this is the perfect situation for Ben Sinnott to show us what he has as a pass catcher. And if you watched his college tape, he has it in him, right? You know, you have to use him. And he is a schematic piece. He's a chess piece that fits a particular scheme, and you have to use him the right way. And so I understand people feel like Bates is going to get more snaps because he's the better inline blocker. I think with the new scheme, there's a lot of move blocking, and Ben Sinnott is the best move blocker we have in the room, right? So both John Bates and Ben Sinnott are elite at the type of blocking that they do, right? John Bates is basically an offensive lineman out there. Like he anchors, he's physical. He could go up against them DNs, but you get Ben Sinnott moving and that athleticism, and he can lay the boom on you with physicality too in the blocking, but it's just two different tight ends that do two different things. I think we're gonna see some John Bates in the receiving game too, y'all. I think it's gonna be. Yeah, so I just think this scheme is really for the tight ends to really pop this year. So I think that's going to be a surprise room. So yeah, those are just my thoughts there.
I'm with you. Mr. Oompa Loompa is saying felt like Cliff didn't like Ben. I'm genuinely curious, draft day, if this was because Sinnott felt like an AP draft pick more than a Cliff draft pick.
I think it was AP's pick from his days with San Francisco, and I think it reached on him. This is just me being a conspiracy theorist, or he knew the 49ers was going to pick Ben Sinnott. They've been watching him, and he was scouting him for the 49ers. I think he reached on him because he knew if he was sitting there,
kept falling,
maybe, and he kept falling, maybe the 49ers was going to take him, because we talking about a Ben Sinnott over there with a Kyle Juszczyk and a Kittles in that offense.
Getting used.
So so I think that's why he reached, honestly, but I don't talk to AP. I don't know. That's just me being a conspiracy theorist about why he reached on that pick, because I can't. I was also like, why would you take this guy in the second round? Like, I'm asking that question, but I think that was AP's pick, and if Cliff had it up to, he probably would have done something else with that pick. So I think there was a disconnect between the GM and the coordinator on that one.
Yeah.
Hey John, I sent you another link.
I was about to pull this up too.
Okay, thank you.
I get the notification. I'm like, hold on, Grant got some for me.
Yeah.
I was actually a fan of the pick because me and when he was still doing the content creating, Adam and Neva, shout out to my guy Adam. He and I were doing the draft reports. We did Jayden, Mikey, Ben back to back to back. So we went 3 for 3, and we drafted him. And I was like, okay, cool. He has all the intangibles to do this. And then we saw what happened. I went, because like that one hurts me the most, is Sinnott hasn't worked out thus far. That one hurts me the most, more than McGee.
All right, so let me walk you through this play right here. So that's the tight end at the top is Ertz. So Ben's actually up on the ball. So just watch Ben. Watch him on this play. It starts with a really stiff chip on Max Crosby. Really good chip right here. And then he's open in space in the flat, doesn't get the ball, immediately sprints back into the play, and then launches that dude. Like, I said it. He's not going to be a star because he's not a star player. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Not everybody can be a star. But I do think he can be a really good role player. In Asia, I've never thought of it like that. But you're right. Maybe the 49ers were scouting him. Maybe he got word of that. AP's connected dude. Obviously, he was in the Bay. He said he reminded him of Juszczyk and Kittle. So, like, that lines up. I could see that being the case. I still think it was a reach taking him in the second round. I mean, Kittle and Juszczyk both went in the 5th round, I think. But he does give you this. And when we think about the style of offense that David Blough wants to run, like, you see everything on this play. You see him finishing the play, which is always important for any blockers. You see the physicality right off the line. That's a really good chip on Max Crosby. He pushes him backwards, and then he flies in and just destroys a dude in what is essentially at that point the running game. So Asia hit the nail on the head. He's the best movement blocker on this team. And when we get to 100%. Like split blocks and sift blocks and things like that, or just getting him in space, Ben's gonna have a role on this team. And as far as answering the question of who's the second best receiving tight end, I mean, to be fair, I don't really know what Colson Yankoff can do, to be honest, but I still think it's Ben. And I don't think it's really much of a question. I think give him the right opportunities and he will produce.
Yeah. I think it also helps, even to Worley's comment about saying the offensive line, if he doesn't chip Max Crosby, Marcus dies back there.
Yeah, the offensive line is not the problem. I see you in there, and I don't want to ignore your take there. I think that's a misunderstanding. The offensive line wasn't an issue. It was the scheme is the RPO scheme where Jayden is the primary runner in the scheme. So Jayden's the running back. And so if you are using your quarterback as the running back, he's going to get hit, right? So if you look at a lot of times when Jayden is getting hit, he's not behind the O-line. And he's not scrambling or leaking out behind, because the O-line's not holding up. It's because he's literally the read in the scheme. It's a read, and you either check it down to your feet, Jayden, or you hand it off to the running back. So that's just what RPO is. RPO is the quarterback's running. You know, we have one of the best left tackles out there in Laremy Tunsil. They've invested heavily there. They've taken in each draft, they've taken a offensive lineman. Our first round draft pick, not last year, but the year before last, was a right tackle. Sam Cosmi is a very good guard. You know, when he gets back from that injury, he did kind of injure himself. I think the only thing that's really of question is kind of the center with Nick Allegretti, and then who locks down that left guard position. And from this new scheme, I'm here to say I think it's going to be Brandon Coleman. This scheme is all about athleticism, and I think he's going to take it from, Chris Paul.
That, I mean, I was going to figure out a segue to the offensive line, but you did it for me, so I appreciate you. I'm with you. And I had this debate with Dulla last week on Winners and Losers. I had the loser being Coleman. He had the loser being Chris Paul. You look at the scheme, you look at the pieces around him, you look at what Blough wants to run. I was wrong. Clearly, the loser is Chris Paul, because they are thanking Brandon Coleman for actually being able to be flexible as a guard. Although you drafted him as a tackle, which made me laugh on draft day, you're like, he's a clear guard. Because they did the same thing to Sam Cosmi. He was a guard in college. You move him to tackle for like a cup of coffee. You go, all right, that didn't work. You move him back to guard. You're like, and that's the reason why we should have just not overdrafted this piece. If Brandon Coleman can produce, great. If not, Miami needs some help.
Yeah. I think AP reached. I think this is the first year he didn't reach on any of his picks. He just went BPA. But I think he reached in his first two drafts. I think it was a learning curve for him. But I do think that Brandon was another one that's kind of you have to, because of where you drafted him, he has to start. Like, they've been kind of using him as kind of a swing depth piece up until this point. And the way that this scheme works with the outside zone blocking that they utilize, it requires chemistry and communication. So you have to lock in those roles, and they have to be locked in. You can't be swinging guys in and out of that role. So I think this is the year that we stop seeing kind of certain players swing from position to position.
Yeah.
They just settle into their groups and then kind of stay there. I see someone wanting Matt Gobin over Nick Allegretti. I do think the goal is long term to kind of transition Matt Gobin there. But if he's not there, he's not there. And we kind of have to just kind of go with Nick Allegretti until we get him there.
So I think I'm a lot higher on Brandon Coleman than both of you, and I'm not saying that you're.
Oh no, I'm pretty high on him. don't take it the wrong way.
I'm the lowest.
I think I'm high on him. I think what we are doing in the run blocking here fits Brandon Coleman's skill set. I don't want to see Chris Paul out there for what we're going to be doing. I just think that, again, I don't know what happened last year. There were times when Brandon Coleman was in street clothes and not activated.
5 straight games.
Yeah, it was like, what is going on? So do you have any insights into that, Grant?
Well, I have insights because Logan Paulson had insights. And I remember he was the first one to really talk about it. Basically, my understanding from what Logan is saying, which is like he's saying it, dancing around it a little bit, because Logan knows probably basically everything that's going on. He can barely say any of it. It sounded like Brandon Coleman got dinged during the offseason, or maybe like it was from the last season and he never fully recovered. It was related to his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. And basically the team was like, dude, you're in the NFL. Everybody plays through injuries. It's not bad enough that you should deserve time on the bench or IR. So go get out there and play. And I guess Coleman was like, guys, like I'm not good enough. Like it's still, my shoulder hurts. I can't block. So they sent him out there at, pick a number, 70%, 90%. We don't know. It wasn't 100, whatever that number was.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not play well. And there was a certain level of, number one, he needed to get healthy. Number two, he had no confidence. Number three, he was also kind of pissed off. And again, this is from what several people have said. I had David Harrison from Locked On Commanders on the channel a couple of weeks ago. And he said that he had noticed just from like talking to Brandon, not about the game at all, just being in the locker room and being around these guys. He said he had noticed that Brandon's spirit had kind of fallen a little bit, which I could understand. I mean, even just forgetting the fact that Brandon's a young dude, like anybody, think about it. They went into the offseason, they said, Brandon, you're the left tackle. And then they traded for Laremy Tunsil. And they said, Brandon, you're the right tackle. And they drafted Josh Conerly. They said, Brandon, you're the left guard. And he was looking at like, guys, how important am I to you actually? Like, seriously, I'm still young. I'm still trying to figure it out. You drafted me, which tells me you value me. But then all this happens. Like, do you really care about me at all? And I think parlaying that with the fact that they wanted him to play while he was banged up and he didn't think he should play, I think that destroyed his confidence or like just some of the connection with the team a little bit. But then David Harrison said around like maybe week 12 or week 13, something like that. He said they were having a conversation in the locker room about Jordans. And for whatever reason, like Coleman he was more perked up than he had been at any point in the season. It was at that time where I really felt like he got his joy back and he started being comfortable with this situation. And he said that basically it seems like Coleman's really gone into this offseason, like forget everything. I'm a left guard now and I'm taking that left guard spot. So for all of those reasons, I'm confident in him. He has obviously all of the talent in the world to do a good job. He may not be a Pro Bowler, but to be a good player. And then as far as why he was drafted in the 3rd round, going back to that, I pulled up his draft evaluation just because I was curious. I'm on NFL.com looking at what Lance's Earline said. I think Lance is the best at this stuff. He projected him to go in round 3. He's 6'4.5" with basically 35-inch arms, smoked the combine. So, like, I mean, that was probably the right spot for him, 3rd round pick. It just didn't start well. He allowed 9 or 10 sacks. But last season, when he got to fill in for Laremy Tunsil, and even before then when he was benched, but he was a jumbo lineman, he played really well. And I get that that's not playing left guard, which is what he has to do at the end of the day. But I do feel confident in him. And I made an O-line video the other day. And basically there was, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah put out a check sheet. And it was like, to win a Super Bowl, you need to have this. And it was a franchise quarterback, 3 playmakers, 3 offensive linemen, whatever it was. And I said, I think the 3 offensive linemen for the Commanders are Josh Conerly, Sam Cosmi, and Laremy Tunsil. But I also think Coleman's a 4th guy. I do think Coleman will be good this season, and we can move on from these conversations by the end of the year.
Yeah. I like what Dave said. The O-line was far from elite. I would agree with that. I think the O-line has been consistently a work in progress over several drafts and free agencies. I think we have to go back to the beginning where they had to really come in here and kind of rebuild this whole roster, rebuild this whole thing. So I think, from where they came from and where they're going, I think they're heading in the right direction. And I would honestly, it's just hard for me to blame a lot of what happened to Jayden on the O-line when a lot of what Jayden did was running around outside of the pocket. I think we're going to see kind of the O-line kind of really settle in and really look like a real O-line out there in this under center offense where it is very run heavy power scheme. I think that leans into what this particular group does better. They're more athleticism. They're more athletic. This is more about a lot of these guys just kind of really leveraging their athleticism and blocking, treating some of these guys like they are kind of the type to anchor down and really just hold up and pass pro and kind of hold up blocks. That's not really scheming towards the skill set of a lot of the guys out there. I listen to a lot of them talk. They are really, really excited to really play this style of offense because they get to play bully ball and they get to run kind of more of a power scheme and they get to get away from the no huddle. It is shocking for me to listen to them say half the time they couldn't even communicate with one another about the protections and who was responsible for picking up what because of the no huddle offense and the tempo style. So they're just out there really on instinct and doing the best that they can with a lot of the stuff that we saw. I think Tyler Biadasz, from what I saw, moving on from him, that might not be a very positive take, but I saw a lot where he struggled with kind of the blitz pickup and some of the interior lineman stunts and things like that. So I do think that Nick Allegretti, based on his experience, he is going to be a little bit better than Tyler Biadasz in that sense. And I do think Matt Golpin, a lot of what was in his scouting report was, again, don't accuse me of a dog whistle, but he said it himself, his IQ. So Matt Golpin was my IQ and my ability to kind of pick up blitzes and read those things. So, I think the depth in this group with all of the swing players they have for the interior, I didn't like a lot of the swinging at the top end of the depth chart that we've been doing for the last few years. I agree with you on the Brandon Coleman thing, Grant. Is he the starter? And if he's the starter, lock him into what he's going to be doing. You have been moving him around. That's not what you do with a starter. You do that with a swing piece. That's a depth piece, So I think they've been fundamentally treating Brandon like a depth piece, but, wanting him to maneuver like a starter in his, it's very contradicting the way that they use them. So I can see how he kind of struggled a little bit, but I'm not going to say, the run game was pretty high. This was a pretty efficient run group here. Even with the run game not being a priority in Cliff's scheme, it was still kind of one of the tops in the league consistently. So they haven't been bad. It's just been years of building a group that every year you're adding a new piece. And so it takes some time. And then with Sam Cosmi having the injury and him coming back, you had to integrate him back in there. Now you have Sam Cosmi having to develop that relationship with Josh Conerly, which that was new. So I think this is the first year where everybody's been in the system together for more than 1 year. And I think they're going to be locked in.
I'm with you there. My other thing with this offensive line that I feel like we can take the next step, and I said this talking about Lake after draft steals. Golpin is the true, Allegretti is playing center. Golpin is going to benefit taking some time off, learning behind Allegretti, learning with this new offensive line coach, learning with this team. Because as much as he only let up 2 sacks in Michigan State last year and only 9 pressures the whole year, it was his first true year at center. And he was, in my estimation, the 3rd best center in the draft class. I had Slaughter as my 1. And, oh, God, I can see the other center, not Conerly. I didn't like Conerly coming out of Auburn. There was
Logan Jones.
Logan Jones, thank the Lord, out of Iowa. He went to the Chicago Bears, so it is what it is there. I had Golpin as my 3. And we got him right where Lance Zierlein said he was going to be, in and around that late day 3, and NFL Draft Buzz said the same thing. But they also all agreed he's going to need a little time to season, a little time to grow, a little bit of time to figure out where he'll fit in this team and to get actual center snaps. Well, you were a 6th-round pick. I think, first of all, that's a great value for a team needing a center, and you have arguably the second, if not third best center pass blocking wise. I'll take it. 6'4", I'll take it. 330 pounds, I'll take it. As Rio put it, he looks like he eats corn right out the husk. I will take it. All you're missing is the glasses from Slaughter, and we've got him. So I think having him sit behind Allegretti will be a good thing. I would love for him to start for the future, and I think that is the plan, like you both said. But I'm okay, but I'm okay with him sitting around for a couple weeks, if not possibly the year, and going learn and grow. Like if I see him in preseason, great. That is the time to test out these theories and these tries, is preseason. I'm ready to see what Matt Goldman got, but I also need to see what Allegretti, or as I kill one about, Alabenchi will do at center. I kill one every time with it. Last year it was easy for me to do it, Alabenchi. But I'm curious how Goldman, watching it all unfold, but also curious what Allegretti can actually do at center. I don't have doubt that he can do it because he's an athletic, flexible guy who can play inside, and the very few snaps he needs to play it outside, he's okay with it. My only concern, especially going into this offensive line group, was you have to draft a center, because if you're going to the season with just Allegretti,
it's
who
not
do you rely on?
Yeah.
Brandon rely on Julian Coleman at center, Julian Good-Jones at center. I'm walking out the room today.
Yeah, I was looking at Matt Goldman's numbers while you were talking, and it's PFF grades. Like, these aren't everything. I always say this.
Yeah.
PFF gives you a blurry image. You got to go in there and you got to sharpen it yourself, but it gives you a general picture. They ranked Matt Goldman. This is of everybody, every center. He was 5th in pass blocking and 1st in run blocking. That's pretty solid. And the guy let up 5 pressures all season. Like John said, if you go watch him play, like, he actually did have some really impressive tape. So I agree with you that sitting could be probably the best thing for him. With that being said, Allegretti's got to know that he's the weak link. He's the first man out on that offensive line. I think that's why he's going so heavy on the PR this entire offseason. Like, just as much as I'm tired of Dan Quinn saying spaces and dog ass competitor, I am tired of Nick Allegretti saying, "Oh, I've always loved center, man. The leadership that I've been playing since high school. Did you know that? I was a center. It's always what I wanted to do. I've always been ready for that job."
It's working, Grant, because I went from I'm not comfortable to like I'm ready for the rookie to go in there to like I'm like I think
you got to keep those headphones on and you got to block the noise out. You can't take them off.
My baby been doing a good sales job all off season. I went from I don't want you to I don't know, this might work. Like I'm telling you.
Nah, I mean it might work. I want to make that clear. Like I'm not going to judge the man before I see him. I watched because this is how bored I am sometimes. I watched every single Nick Allegretti snap at center earlier in the offseason.
Oh, dear.
He got annihilated against the Cowboys. And I will give him some grace because he's going against Quinnen Williams, who might be the best defensive tackle. And I think he took over at halftime. He wasn't expecting to play like, okay. Yeah. And then he goes out there against the Eagles, 2nd and 3rd stringers mostly, although Jordan Davis did play in that game. And it's mostly good, but it was like when it was bad, it was, oh, shit, he just got
not good. Yeah.
So, like, there was no, like, if Laremy Tunsil, why do you have like ready to go?
Why not?
I was looking around ready to mute something on my computer. I was like, that's John again. Like, if Laremy Tunsil loses on a play, it's a subtle loss. There was nothing subtle about Nick Allegretti's losses. So, I mean, Certified Commander said in the chat, no grace, he a grown man. And on top of that, he's a grown NFL veteran. He's been talking about, I've been wanting to do this my whole career. I'm so excited. I'm thrilled with the opportunity. Well, cool. Take it. Don't let it go, because if it's not looking good in training camp, like if they're concerned, they just cut the guy in front of you. They didn't want you to start, but they cut the guy in front of you because he wasn't doing the job. They drafted the guy to be your replacement. So don't think that your job is secure going into this just because you're on the top of the depth chart right now.
Yeah, in my mind, I have Matt Goldman taking that job like mid-season and them gradually integrating him and kind of starting with Allegretti so the rookie can kind of like ramp up and get comfortable with the install, because this is like under center pro style, just like really not trying to throw too much on his plate while the quarterback is also acclimating to a new, you don't want the center and the quarterback being out there like just, So I felt this was kind of, let's just balance a little bit of this newness for Jayden with the experienced vet, with the idea to transition or integrate Matt Golden at some point. I hope Allegretti is just a veteran stopgap piece that leads us to the guy we drafted long term. The history has shown us that they play the offensive lineman they draft. So I think I still see him as the plan.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, we were all kind of shocked when BLOUGH'S got released of like, this is a left field release, but I really feel like, I wonder if I don't want to say regretting it, because he got 3 for 30 over at the Chargers and they moved Jake Slaughter to guard, which blows my mind. But if we wanted a veteran, and I know his injury concern is concerning, I would have almost rather dealt with BLOUGH'S injury history this season than trying to figure out if Allegretti's an actual center, an actual guard, or if he does the Taysom Hill, which is like, I just play offensive line.
I don't think they regret it. I think they seem to be like, it
seems like they enjoy it.
They were all in on going after that Ravens center, Linderbaum. It didn't work out. If you really felt like you didn't trust Allegretti here, you don't let BLOUGH'S go until you have solidified what you're doing there. I think they looked at the tape and was like, it's worse with BLOUGH'S. So it's like, let's just
But that's the problem too, though, because it's not worse than Allegretti, because Allegretti's never been there. And like, Allegretti got himself benched. He got himself replaced twice.
Yeah.
He got himself replaced at left guard in 24, and then he got himself replaced at right guard in 25. So I don't know if they are regretting it. My conclusion on it was, they looked at the tape and they said, we think Allegretti can play this well at the very least. He might not be any better, but we don't think he's worse, and he's cheaper. So but that's not a very comforting approach to it. And they tried to upgrade, but the Raiders gave Linderbaum 1.5 times as
overpay
much
was crazy.
highest paid center in NFL history. They had no choice there. So, but I mean, Brandon Coleman has been working out at center. That's something DQ said very subtly. He was talking about the centers and the competition there, and he said those 3 guys, they're working on it. Who's the third guy?
I want them to leave Brandon Coleman alone and just let him play guard. Y'all have that young man has been swinging all over the offensive line. Just let him. Just come on now. just come on, DQ. Just stop treating him like a depth piece if you want him to start. It is the most conflicting thing. I don't get that. I'm sorry.
Every Grant's gonna kill me for this one. Every time Brandon Coleman keeps moving around, I feel like there's at least 4 people that tell it's Brandon Coleman.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
It's like the way they do him is terrible. I would not feel like I'm like, what are we doing? You guys don't really want me because you keep giving everyone else job and making me play backup role in every role. Like, it's
the backup of the backup.
Yeah, it's this stupidest thing. So I want them to leave him alone. Just and just go with Golden. Like,
go with Golden.
If that's what we're doing. So But yeah, like, I think this is the first year where the O-line is all have the chemistry and they finally have the pieces in place. So I look forward to seeing them. Aside from that left guard in the center, just solidify it. That's all I'm asking.
I said this on Twitter the other day. I think it was Brandon, Jayden Daniels MVP, who asked the question, what's the offensive line? What are your expectations? I said I'm expecting them to be about the 7th best offensive line, because I think Josh Conerly is going to be really good. I think people are out of their minds for saying, well, he's not strong enough to play in the NFL. If you read the evaluation, literally everybody in the world said he needs to get stronger. And lo and behold, the guy who works very hard, has talent, shows up looking like a new man because he worked out Laremy Tunsil. Laremy Tunsil himself, Stan Cosmi are good. if I'm right in Brandon Coleman being good, that's 4 guys you're comfortable with. So I do think the offensive line might not be the best in the league, but I think like 70, 80% of the teams it goes against, you'll be like, all right, we're cool today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. That's top 10.
No.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I take top 12. I take top 12 at this rate.
Yeah.
I think they were probably top 12 last year. I'd put them around 12, but like,
yeah,
I don't think they've ever been bottoms of the league, like ever. From whenever I see them discuss it, maybe the first year, but that second year they were in the middle of the pack with,
Yeah.
So
and they were made to look worse than they were just because, I mean, there's nobody to throw to. They couldn't run. Jayden got injured, but the offensive line really was not letting the team down.
Yeah.
No.
It was other areas. They're not meant to hold up that long.
No.
Like they should, the ball, like Jayden can't get the ball out fast enough because there's no receivers to throw the ball to. And then that means they have to hold, they're not supposed to be up there holding up for like 5, 6, 7
8 seconds. Yeah.
You got to get the ball out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Throw the 5s. Throw the
1, 2, 3, 4. Where is Chris Moore?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Then when you throw it to a receiver, they drop it. Like the amount of drops, Jayden.
5, 6, 7, 8. We hate them all
at
this rate.
Yeah. Just goodness gracious. It was a mess.
It was a mess. Wasn't the offensive line's fault. But I mean, I didn't realize we'd be here for 2 hours. I forgot it was 9 o'clock already.
Well, that's what happens when you get Grant and I together. Talking ball.
We can yap.
Hey, I'm with it.
Yeah.
I was ready for this. I ready and whatnot, but the comments held us down. Y'all held us down. This was absolute fun. This was a blast to do this.
Yeah, shout out to everyone in the live chat for real. Thank you all so much for tuning in here. Make sure you check out all of our channels if you don't know us already. And thank you, because like John said, it's 9 o'clock at night here on the East Coast, and you're hanging out with us. So thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Right.
Thanks again. I think this is like your second live stream that like marathon. You cooked over there with Rico. You did your live stream too, Grant. I enjoyed that. So
I felt so bad for him too, because so normally how do I put this? Normally I try to tell people like, we're going to talk. This is the goal. We're going to shoot for this. Normally when I'm on with other people, they say the same thing to me. I didn't say anything to Rico, and I looked up and we were hour 35. I'm like, oh my God, I hope he had no plans. I hope he wasn't, has some food waiting for him downstairs. Right. So we closed off. He said, bro, I wasn't doing anything. I said, okay, thank goodness. But yeah, I felt so bad.
His wife at the door, like, are you going to come out already?
Yeah. No, it was a good one. I was definitely tapped in, but thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this, Grant. I really watch everything you post. Like you really give it up with the details and a lot of your research and your analysis and how you take analytics and marry it with film study and a lot of stuff you do. So I was happy to do this in the deep dive, the offense. So thanks for having me. And thanks for all of my supporters that came by to do live stream. This is something new that I'm introducing to my channel. And you guys always show up for me. And thanks for the super chats for those who stopped in with super chats. Always appreciative.
Yeah, if I can say my little piece too here. John, I always say, is the funniest guy we have in the community. So everybody here, if you aren't watching John, please do. Like, even if you're not a Commanders fan, like shout out to D-Cuz, because he's a Cowboys fan. He's been
in here holding it down.
Time.
Yeah.
Cowboys. So shout out to you for being in here.
Yeah, like I was like, look at you.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
And in Asia, I mean, I'm not a Commanders community historian. Like, I'm not the guy to ask about that. But I don't know if there's been a person who's grown as quickly as you have. So shout out to you for everything that you're doing over there as well. I mean, you're talking about my analysis. You rightfully have analysis in the name right there. And I always see your comments. Your people show up for you. I see it in the comments. So just good job to you. Kudos to everything you're doing. And hopefully there's a lot more to come for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Oh no. If there were people that came onto the scene quick, fast, and took off, it's you two, it's Kay, it's Carter. It is the 4 of you. Me, Reedy, Z, Juan, Tone, Rio, Josh. We all been at this 3+ years. I'm sitting here.
I've been getting it out the mud.
I always say though, it's because you guys did that.
Y'all
that
are a big part of that. Like
it
you guys
made it
really,
easier for us. Like we could not have. You were laying the work for us to show up. So in some ways, like, it's almost a little selfish of us where we just showed up.
I can't even take the credit. Yeah, I got a lot of my followers just from coming on your stream, John. Just from a lot of just hanging out. People who knew me from Reading and Z, going on Rio stream. So the community, it's very strong community. Would not be here if it was not for the people who came before me and had to get this out of the mud and kind of like build it up. And it took you guys a long time to get here. So shout out to y'all for real.
I'll share one quick story and then we can head out of here. I was texting Rio and we were talking about the offseason. This was before the draft. This was a good bit ago now. I mean, in the grand scheme of life, not really, but in the content world, it feels like forever ago. And he was talking about just, we were talking about the offseason and how there's not much to talk about and whatnot. And somehow or another, we got on the topic and Rio said, yeah, man, I mean, when the team loses games, it's tough. But when they're winning games, I mean, you know how it is.
It's easy.
And I was like, I don't know how it is. From year one, we went 5-12. So hopefully they win some games next season and I can experience what you're talking about.
Yeah. Hey, I think it came at the right time. Shout out to y'all that was with it for the Dan Snyder years. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
it's been rough. I'm trying to think. Episode 1 for us, God, because that was my dormitory days too. Let's see, 3 years ago. I think game 1 or episode 1 predictions for BIB. I want to say, it was the Commanders Colts game where Terry mossed Stephon Gilmore. That was the prediction.
I remember that.
That was episode 1.
So this was in my sports betting days where I was going heavy on it. I had a 5-leg anytime touchdown parlay that included a Terry touchdown, and it was the last one. And it was something big. It was like 20 to like 400 or something. So I was gassed by that.
Oh, no.
Wow.
That's insane. But again, appreciate y'all for stopping by, spending 2 hours with me. I leaned back and I said, I'm gonna let them handle this because they got I was a spectator. This was a lot of fun. I was spectating the whole time.
All right. Well, thanks everyone.
All right, guys. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
If y'all have not already, like, share, and subscribe, whether it's here at BIB, over at Full Command, over at Asia's Analysis. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. It gets all of us into the algorithm, all of our videos into the YouTube space. If you're sharing it, share it with your non-football friends, share it with your football friends, subscribe, do the whole 9, because all those little bit helps each and every time you hit that like button, that subscribe button. It helps all of us able to grow our individual channels, all of us be able to afford StreamYard, and all of us be able to do these content live streams because StreamYard is so expensive.
Yeah, that's you guys have no clue.
My account has been hitting zeros for a year because I could afford this StreamYard. I can't afford any more autographs. I'm broke.
Yeah, John. Nobody knows. John he came on when we were backstage. He came on with his shirt off. He can't afford his AC bill. It's hot in the summer. Like, help us out, man.
This is all green. This is a green screen virtual background. I can't even touch any of this. It was a bad time. But no, appreciate everyone stopping by in the chat, whether you're here on YouTube or if you're watching on the Full Command Twitter show. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Again, hit that subscribe button on the way out, hit the like button on the way out, whether it's on the Burgundy Breakdown, the Ballin and Burgundy podcast, Full Command, Asia's Analysis, or wherever y'all see our content. We appreciate y'all absolutely so much. We will see y'all next time, whether it's here on all of our individual shows. But that being said, raise hail. Don't forget to stay ballin'. We will see y'all out there. We are out.